Berlin plays host to the next round of the FEMC, Revo on pole from Sebastian Ocampo and Daniel Bogdasarov. CC starts alongside him, then it's U-Cable and Iron Babinus Jr. In OQ, he starts 7th from Jack Carter and Oscar Folstad, then it's Tonali Gabo, Santino Milan, Jonathan Sims and Pierre Gasly. Leo starts 14th from Daf Sanchez and championship leader Pablo Sierra only 16th. Then it's Tommy, Akari Lopez, Lewis Olsen, Bastian Tan, Cosmos and Miguel de Souza. Well, if Sebastian Ocampo wins today and Pablo Sierra doesn't score points, as all 5 lights go on, he can lead the championship. And we go green in Germany. Very good start from Sebastian Ocampo, already pulling alongside Revo off the line. In fact, I think, yes, he is ahead of the DS Automobile man who the last time he drove here, he was driving for Mercedes. But it is, virtual safety car to Tonali Gabo out of the E3. Oh my goodness, was going to touch on Bogdasarov's good start and how he's gone ahead of U-Cable. But the lack of luck for the Renault Edams driver follows him to Germany. And unfortunately for Tonali Gabo, he is out of the E3. So it's Sebastian Ocampo who leads the way from Revo and Daniel Bogdasarov looking behind with the number 97 driver. We will technically overhaul the on-screen graphics one more time before the season's out. As we go back racing, it's going to look pretty good. I hope you guys will enjoy what we have for round 9 onwards. On board with Sebastian Ocampo. So now rounds coming through the final sector for Andretti Honda. And we do have confirmation here today that Mercedes will return to the championship as a powertrain supplier. They won't just join as a team, they will provide powertrains, possibly just for themselves, maybe for other teams. We'll only find out next season. The 20th season of the FEMC, and that season will be hosted in 2025. But on lap 2 of 16, Ocampo still leading away with the fastest lap of the Prix, and going on board with the championship leader Pablo Sierra. And I'm not too sure what it's been, but it just hasn't looked like the Nissan man from Spain has had it in any sense of the word. Further upfield, look at this fight between Inoki and CC going alongside each other up the hill. That's one of the greatest chicanes we have on the calendar. On board with Babinus Jr. trying to get into this fight for 5th position. Ocampo blitzing the field already. He's a second ahead of Revo with the fastest second sector of anybody. And still on board with Babinus Jr. in 7th position for DS Venturi, trying to get closer to the Sims Motorsport man in front of him. As we have received earlier in the season confirmation that Sims will have a brand new lineup. U-Cable from the fastest 3rd sector of anyone. Folstad, Sanchez and Tommy. Is that problems for one of the drivers further back? Sims on board with him, trying to defend his 14th position from Leo. As, Sierra, still in 17th, just doesn't look like he's got the pace anymore. Not too sure what it is, just looks like it's gone. Man. His teammate Santino Milan's doing pretty good. Look at him. He's going to try and go down the inside on CC. Missed the overtakes that Jack Carter have made, but it's why Babinus Jr. is now setting it up the inside of Pierre Gasly. And this fight for 6th position, quite good. U-Cable on board with a Briton in the number 89. And he's trying to close in on Daniel Bogdasarov. So Bogdasarov might actually be under threat here for that podium. U-Cable, I do believe, started 3rd. Maybe he didn't, as we go into lap 4 of 16. We're a quarter of the way through this E3. And we look... Miguel de Souza, further back, pointing this out. He set a new fastest lap of 1:07. Quite quick for him, as Bastian Tan now at the back of the pack. And I don't know what it is. McLaren today just don't seem like they've got the package they need. Similar to Nissan, as down the inside goes Tommy. Can he hold his nerve? coming through these following two corners, but he's gonna have to go to the outside and vulnerable to Falstad. He takes it up the inside, now looking to try and get past Daf Sanchez right in front of him. Still not quite close enough to make the move. So Falstad, who does actually have a bit of damage, I'll point this out, might have been something to do with the Tonali Gabo crash, but I'm not too confident on just picking names out of a hat and saying that's why there was a crash. As in comes Babinus Jr., Pierre Gasly, and everyone from 8th down. Is the track dry? On board with Babinus Jr., you can see Mahindra have pulled out soft tyres. And that's for Cosmos going on to those softs. It is dry according to some teams, but still lots of parts of the track very wet. You can see on board with Ocampo, it's not raining anymore, but there are still some wet parts of the track. So for the guys who've currently stayed out, works for them. For the guys who haven't, it's still going to work out well for them. It's dry now. Just about. There are still some wet patches, but I'm sure by the end of this lap, it's going to be bone dry here in Germany. And this track, not really known for having too many incidents. Last time we ran like configuration similar to this was in the F1 Championship, and there hosted the Spanish Grand Prix. As in come the drivers, gonna have to double stack down at DS Automobiles. They have to wait only for CC. Hopefully that doesn't drop them further down the order. Jonathan Sims further back gets a track limits warning, and Bogdasarov does have to let Revo through. UKable having to let Revo through, and UKable drops to 5th, having to let not Huey go by. And Jack Carter shouldn't lose out too much. Coming out of the pits, here comes Pierre Gasly. There goes Pierre Gasly. Santino Milan trying to get past the Frenchman as well. Heading down into turn 1, and he's all over the back of CC now. 3 seconds separate first and second. And I think Sebastian Ocampo might have this race on lock to try and take his 3rd race win of the season. It will be a race win that, as it would stand, should take him to the top of the world driver standings. And Bogdasarov has an issue. Front puncture for Daniel Bogdasarov. Renault Edams' day goes from bad to worse to straight up awful. I've said this once before, I'm sure. And Olsen getting a... that's Lewis Olsen out of the Prix. He got a 5-second time penalty. Slid into the wall again, and that's taken him out. Virtual safety car on lap 6 of 16, 10 to go, and that's your 2nd retirement of the race. And I don't think this is just a Tonali Gabo thing anymore. I think Renault just lost all the luck they had in the earlier phase of the season. Virtual safety car is ending then. We'll get back racing. It'll be lap 7 of 16, almost half race distance, and we go back racing for everyone apart from Daniel Bogdasarov. Just gonna have to let the entire field go by. Sims gets an incident with Bogdasarov as well, sliding off the track. And for the Frenchman, it's just quite awful for the number 97. But his first teammate, Sebastian Ocampo, still at Andretti Honda, the team Bogdasarov started his career at before moving to Virgin Renault and staying there as it transitioned to become Renault Edams. Fastest 2nd sector going to Sebastian Ocampo on board with the race leader, 2 seconds ahead of Revo. So there are some parts of the track where Revo is actually quite a ways quicker than the Andretti man. But could Bogdasarov impact the way this race ends? Because currently this is a 2-horse race between Ocampo and Revo as far as I see it, and not QE in 3rd position for Aurelio Mahindra. Brilliant stuff from the Aurelio Mahindra man, but I don't think he's going to finish this race any higher. Falstad in 9th as CC further ahead. Look at that, sending it down the inside on UKable and taking this position away from him. As the other Braun Honda man, as Bastian Tan in 14th, sets a new fastest lap of 105.8. Folstad, his teammate, trying to close in on Jack Carter, but his soft tyres beginning to feel pain at half race distance. I think that undercutting might work out here. Maybe for the first stop you can try to do the overcut. I don't think it'll work too well. The undercut will definitely be helpful for the second stop, because track position, unless there's a virtual safety car, which unlikely, Leo gets a track limits warning, trying to attack the candy red, the Dragon Renault car in front of him. Sebastian Ocampo sets a new fastest lap. Oh, dive bomb from Tommy in the number 45. CC sets a new fastest lap of 104.950. That's some pretty good stuff from the Sims Motorsport man, who hasn't said some pretty good things. In comes Tommy and Miguel D'Souza, and they're going to go for the undercut on a lot of drivers here. On board with Tommy, and he's going on to the mediums. Miguel D'Souza, we believe, also going on to mediums. In he comes with 7 to go. Medium tyres go on. And if the softs for them only lasted 2 laps, we look to Revo, trying to close in on Sebastian Ocampo. And I don't think he's... You know what? He is closer. He's gained about 0.2 of a second. It is the gap stabilizing to about 2 seconds, plus or minus 0.2. And I think for Revo, you might want to just try and do something strategical here, because if not, you're probably going to lose out big time. 6 laps to go. 48% tyre wear for the Italian driver, as Bastian Tan gets a 5-second time penalty for causing a collision with Pablo Sierra. And Bastian also gets passed by Leo. There doesn't seem to be an issue with that McLaren man, as he tries to get back past Leo, but that's not the way you might want to make a switchback. Milan and Cosmos both come in for their second stops. Also into the pits, we believe that's Pierre Gasly. Yeah, Gasly's come in as well. And you can see this is now the fight for 9th position as we go on board with Pablo Sierra, who would currently be taking home 1 single point. Not the kind of day that Nissan would have wanted today. Nismo, we're still looking with them, like, supply only one other team in Sims Motorsport with their powertrains. Still looking with Jonathan Sims on board, as in come Ocampo and Revo, race leaders coming into the pits, and not QE, CC and UCable now the top 3. Jack Carter up to 4th. Where's Sebastian Ocampo and Revo going to funnel out? Ocampo comes out of the pits in 6th. Revo's going to be 7th. Bamness Jr. and Akari both come in, so Sierra is going to be the man closest to the guys who are at the front, and he's still 5 seconds off of them. So they've got open road to Ocampo and Revo up ahead of both of them, because there are 3 seconds between Ocampo and Revo, so I'm guessing not the quickest stop for the DS Automobile man. If there are problems further ahead, they could easily capitalize or lose quite a bit. 5 laps left to run here in Germany. Sims coming out of the pits now. He's actually come out behind Daniel Bogdasarov. And Bogdasarov's mediums could be looking quite a bit better. As in comes an Kiwi. CC will inherit the race lead with 4 laps left to run. We're in the final quarter of this race here in Berlin. As in comes UCable, Jack Carter and Dash Sanchez. So CC leading the way here in Berlin, ahead of Sebastian Ocampo and Revo. And Revo 3 seconds off the back of the DS Automobile man. Not quite sure what happened there. Oscar Folstad sets a new fast lap, 104.6. And he's currently in 7th, and just behind and ahead of 2 other drivers. He's behind Milan, just ahead of Yui. Sierra comes into the pits, and honestly, for Pablo Sierra, if he's able to manage any points today, it would be quite the accomplishment. He's down in 18th now. And just taking a look at the gap between the race leaders, CC and Ocampo, that's now 9 seconds. CC's got no pace as he's now coming to the pits, so Sebastian Ocampo will inherit the race lead, but we're going to stay with CC because his race still quite important. Does Pierre Gasly round the final turn? Does CC manage to stay third? No, he won't. Gasly's going down the main straight right now. I think he might come out around these four. There goes an Ocui, and you can see there, CC, he's not going to be anywhere near these guys coming out of the pits. He still has to adhere to the pit lane rules as he's come out of the pits. He is 8th now as we look to the fight for 4th position just outside of the podium places. As an Ocui going through turn number 4. Jonathan Sims sets a new fastest lap of the Prix at 104.5. If only he was in the points in his last season in the championship. As on board with Oscar Folstad trying to close in on an Ocui. I don't think he's anywhere near close enough to try and make any sort of move. As CC a little further back, not too far back. He's found his way up into 7th. We've got 2 more laps left to run. Sebastian Ocampo leads this race, 3.6 seconds ahead of Revo. Then we've got Pierre Gasly in 3rd, under threat from an Ocui who has attack mode. UK Ball also with attack mode, gets past Oscar Folstad. Does an Ocui? Yes, he does. Almost contact between the two drivers, but an Ocui up into P3, ahead of car number 3, Pierre Gasly. Miguel de Souza comes into the pits for his 3rd and final pit stop. So Dragon Renault think this race might be a 3-stop race. Of course, including the swap 2 from wets to dries, as in comes Bogdasarov. And you can tell they have no other choice but to just pit for another time. We're on board with UK Ball. He sees his teammate in front of him. He's got attack mode on him. And he might be going for a podium to make sure that the podium here today only comprised of Formula E Monoposto champions. As onto the penultimate lap we go. And Ocampo coming across Bogdasarov gets past him quite smoothly. Gasly comes in for his 3rd stop. UK Ball trying to close in on an Ocui. And for Revo right now, I think hopes of a race win might have just been lost. He's going to get attack mode, with almost certainly on Daniel Bogdasarov just in lapping. But Bogdasarov in 20th last position and a lap down as Gasly is going to come out of the pits outside of the points. Tommy and Sims both coming in, Sims possibly trying to go for another fastest lap. Soft tires going on for him. But for the man who leads the race, this should be quite easy for him. Round the outside of that turn goes Revo. He's not actually close to the back of Bogdasarov. If Revo wants to lap Daniel Bogdasarov, he's going to need to get much, much closer. And in fact, Bogdasarov should get attack mode. Don't think he got it. We're on the final lap here in Berlin. It's been one of the more calmer races in the championship, I'd like to say. Of course, we did lose Lewis Olsen and T. Gabo to Nali Gabo. But this final lap, Sebastian Ocampo sets a new fastest first sector of anyone, a 17.250. He is flying in that white, red and blue Andretti Honda as his teammate Dav Sanchez gets a 5-second time penalty as he now gets past Santino Milan, setting it down the inside. He will not keep the position, of course. Gasly and Sierra, in fact, fighting over 14th. But out in front, it'll be Sebastian Ocampo as he rises through these turns, coming down to the penultimate turn here in Berlin. And for the 3rd time in season 19, Sebastian Ocampo wins the Berlin E-Prix. And he wins it by 4 seconds over Revo. Nowhere near the nail-biter of a finish we saw last time out. Inocui will come across the line for Aurelio Mahindra to finish in 3rd. CC in 4th with a new fastest lap. UK Ball 5th. Jack Carter 6th. Oscar Volstad 7th, then it's Dav Sanchez, Santino Milan, and a long way back you'll find Ionet Babinas Jr., who will just about come home to finish in 10th. Then it's the two Aurelio Pinnacle drivers of Vicari Lopez and Leo, Pierre Gasly's 13th, Cosmos 14th, P. Sierra is 15th, and it's Sebastian Tan, Miguel de Souza, Tommy, Jonathan Sims, and Daniel Baltasarov on track because, of course, Sims, Sebastian Tan, and Dav Sanchez all with 5-second time penalties. Although for Sebastian Tan and Sims shouldn't affect them too much. Miguel de Souza, new fastest lap. Now that goes to Tommy, a 103.5, and Sims steals it, a 103.116 for the Briton. This is the podium then. And for the third time, as I've said already, Sebastian Ocampo takes home a race win here in Berlin, Germany from Revo and Enoch Yui. Then it's Cici, Hugh Cable, Jack Carter, Oscar Volstad, Santino Milan, Dav Sanchez, and Babinas Jr., the top 10. Outside of that, you've got Vicari Lopez, Leo, Pierre Gasly, Cosmos, Pablo Sierra, Sebastian Tan, Miguel de Souza, Tommy, Jonathan Sims with the fastest lap, and Daniel Baltasarov a lap down. The non-finishers were Lewis Olsen and Tonali Gabo. In the driver's standings, Sebastian Ocampo leads the way from Pablo Sierra and Daniel Baltasarov. Then it's Revo, Cici, Vicari Lopez, Jonathan Sims, and QE, the top 8 from Santino Milan, Hugh Cable, Oscar Volstad, Miguel de Souza, Tonali Gabo tied with Leo. Then it's Ionet Babinas Jr., Pierre Gasly, Tommy, Lewis Olsen tied with Jack Carter, Cosmos, and a tie for last between Sebastian Tan and Dav Sanchez. In the constructors standings heading into the next round in London, Nissan Nismo still lead the way, 23 points ahead of Andretti Honda, then 3 points back is Sims Motorsport Nissan, Renault Edams, and DS Automobiles. Then it's Aurelio Pinnacle, Braun Honda GP, Aurelio Mahindra, Dragon Renault, DS Venturi, and DS McLaren TGR. We'll see you guys next time when the Formula E Monoposto Championship returns.